Welcome to Solution Nuggets, a center of excellence in computer skills and mathematics. And here is a science lesson on
Plants.
plants are living or biotic components of the environment, meaning that plants are living things, as it is the animals also. We also say they are also referred to as producers in a food chain because all animals depend on them for food either directly or indirectly. I'll give an example here. A cow or a gazelle will feed on plants directly, and those animals are known as herbivores, while a lion will feed on animals, and lions cannot eat grass. Therefore, we say they are feeding on the plants indirectly because they consume animals that have already consumed the plants.
Importance of plants. Source of food, medicine, shelter, oxygen.
Very good. Those are some of the importances of plants. Look at this. This is an
Orange.
orange. We obtain oranges for plants, meaning that plants are good sources of food. These are some tablets or capsules. They are obtained from plants, and that's a clear indication that plants are a source of medicine. We are going to look at classification of plants. What is classification?
Classification is the grouping of different plants with similar characteristics.
Plants can be classified into several categories. Several categories as follows. 1.
Green and non-green plants.
Okay.
Flowering and non-flowering plants.
Yes.
Monocots and dicots.
Now we want to discuss each at a time and understand them at length. To start with, we are going to look at
Green plants
and
non-green plants.
also have
Flowering plants non-flowering plants. Dicots
and
monocots.
good. Now here is an example of a monocot seed and another one is a dicot seed, and I want to discuss what's the difference between a monocot and a dicot. A monocot is a seed that contains one cotyledon, and that's the main reason we call it monocot. Monocot means one cotyledon. Dicot means two cotyledons. To start with, this is a part of a maize seed. What is the name of this part?
Seed coat.
It protects the inner parts of the seed. What is the name of this part?
Endosperm.
The endosperm is the part of the monocot seed that stores food for the seed. It stores food for the
Seed.
This one. Okay?
Yes.
We also have the cotyledon, this part. It nourishes the young plant. The young plant is known as an embryo, and it is made up of two main parts. One,
Moon.
which is also known as the shoot, because it becomes the shoot. Then we also have the
Radicle.
which becomes the root. Which becomes the
Root.
Now a monocot seed has this type of a root. Which type of a root is this?
Fibrous root.
Look at this leaf. This leaf is known as parallel veined leaf. All monocots have this type of a leaf and this type of roots. Are we together?
Yes.
Then we look at the dicots.
Yes.
The dicots are plants that contains two cotyledons. If you look at this one, this is an open bean seed, the first one here. This one, it has
Seed coat.
Then it has a tiny hole known as
Micropyle.
Then where it was attached to the pod is known as the pillar. If it is opened, once you open the seed, you get two parts. The first one and the second one. These are two cotyledons, and that's why it gets the name of dicot. Are we together?
Yes.
Then this is the part in which it stores food. So dicots store food in the cotyledon, this part. Then it has got its shoot, which is the plumule, and its radicle. Are we together?
Yes.
The radicle becomes the root. The plumule becomes the shoot. The plumule has two parts. If you look at it, this part is known as the epicotyl. The other part is known as the hypocotyl. Then all dicots have this type of, can you see its root? This type of root is this?
Taproot.
Yes, so all dicots have this type of a root, the dicot, and they have this type of a leaf. This is a network veined leaf, a network veined
Leaf.
Now, let us look at flowering plants or plants that reproduce by producing flowers. Here are some of the examples. Which is the first plant here?
Pawpaw.
This is a pawpaw plant. A pawpaw plant is a very unique plant in that it has two different plants. One plant is a male pawpaw while the other one is a female. This one that has fruits, this one is a male female pawpaw, or this one is a male pawpaw. That's the most unique thing about pawpaw. They have two different types of plants. One is a male plant, the other one is a female plant. Which plant is this?
Maize.
That's maize plant.
Yes.
I want to discuss something unique about its flowers. It has flowers, but it has two flowers. The top part, this part is the male flower, or this one is the female flower. Then this other plant has a flower of this kind, which has both male and female parts inside the flower. Inside the
Flower.
We'll be discussing further. We'll be looking at what is pollination, but let's discuss the parts of a flower first. Parts of a
Flower.
What's the name of the first part?
Anther.
Anther. Then we have the stigma.
Stigma.
We also have the
Petals
or
or
corolla.
corolla.
We also have
Ovary. Ovaries.
ovaries.
Yes.
We also have
Nectary.
nectary. This one produces nectar. Then we have the sepals or the calyx. And finally, here we have the style. Now I want to discuss the function of each part. The anther produces the male sex cells of a plant. A plant has got male sex cells, known as pollen grain. This part receives, the stigma receives the pollen grain through in a process known as pollination, which I said I will discuss further. So the stigma receives the pollen grain or the male sex cells. Once they are produced here, they are dropped here. The process of dropping them from here to here is known as pollination. It's known as what?
Pollination.
So that's what I'm saying. The stigma receives the pollen grain through pollination. Then we have the petals. If you look at the petals, they are brightly colored, meaning they are bright so that they can attract insects from far. Are we together?
Yes.
The ovary, once a fruit is formed, the ovary, once after fertilization takes place in the plant, all the other parts wither, but this part does not wither. It becomes the fruit afterwards. Then the ovules becomes the seeds inside the fruit. Are we together?
Yes.
Then the nectary produces nectar. The nectary produces what?
Nectar.
Nectar, which is the source, which is the food for the insects. The sepals that you can see that which are green, they do not wither. Anytime you buy a fruit from the market, you realize that those parts are visible. The sepals or the calyx protect the flower in bud stage before the flower opens. Before the flower does what?
Opens.
The star holds the stigma. At the same time, there is a tube that develops in between here, known as the pollen tube. Known as what?
Pollen tube.
Pollen tube. We'll be discussing it further.
Green non-flowering plants.
Yes, I wish we discuss the green and non-flowering plants. Plants that are green, but they do not produce what? Flowers. Green plants are known to make their own food through the leaves. They do not have a kitchen, they don't cook, but through their leaves, they are able to make their own food, and that's why they grow in size. And the same thing, after making their own food, it's the same food we eat in form of leaves, like the kids, in form of roots, like the carrots, in form of fruits. Are we together?
Yes.
So that food and the stem itself, all parts of a plant, they grow thick because the plants make their own food through the leaves. The process of green plants making their own food is known as photosynthesis. Known as what?
Photosynthesis.
Now, I want us to discuss in details what do plants require during photosynthesis, or what do plants require to make their own food. Number one, they require chlorophyll. They require what?
Chlorophyll.
Chlorophyll is the green coloring matter in plants. The green coloring matter in plants is known as chlorophyll. They also require carbon dioxide or carbon dioxide, the gas that we breathe out. To us, it is a waste, but to the plants, it's very useful. They use it to make their own food. We also ought to water the plants because water is necessary during photosynthesis. We also have mineral salts or manure provides the plants with mineral salts, and they also make their food when it is sunny. When it is
Sunny.
Human beings cook food when they are hungry, isn't it?
Yes.
But plants make food when it is sunny. They make food during the day. So photosynthesis, the word photo means light. So when we are talking about photosynthesis, it is the way the plants use light to make their own food. What is chlorophyll?
Chlorophyll is the green coloring matter in plants' living stems or branches.
Green coloring matter in plants, leaves, stem, or branches. All green plants contain chlorophyll, but not all plants are flowering. Are we together?
Yes.
Meaning, many plants are green, but not all plants that produce flowers. That's what we introduce by saying green plants, meaning plants with chlorophyll, but not all of them that produce flowers. Here are some of the examples of green non-flowering plants. Green non-flowering plants. 1,
Fern.
2,
Moss.
this one that you can see growing on this damp log. This log is damp. The green substance is green but does not produce flowers. We also have
Silverwoods.
we also have conifers. Conifers, I'll be discussing about them, but I want us to see the environment in which the moss grow in such an environment. These logs, what you can see here is the moss. These ones are the conifers. These are conifers. These are cypress trees. They are known as conifers because they produce cones, and these are the cones. Those are the what? Cones. So instead of producing flowers, they produce cones. They produce cones. Another plant is known as algae. That one. That's known as algae. There's an animal in water. Which animal is that?
Turtle.
Then above the water, there's a green substance known as the algae. It is green but does not flower, okay?
Yes.
Here are some examples of
Conifers.
which plant is that?
Cypress tree. Pine tree. Cedar tree.
Cedar tree.
Tree.
Now let us look at
Non-green plants.
plants that are not green. We say non-green plants are plants that do not have chlorophyll. Because of lack of chlorophyll, we say they are non-green. Are we together?
Yes.
Most non-green plants are saprophytes, meaning they depend on dead decaying matter. They grow on dead decaying matter. And most non-green plants are also known as fungi. Fungi is plural of the word fungus. What is a fungus?
A fungus is a living thing like plants without leaves, flowers, or green coloring matter.
Yes, a fungus is a living thing like plants without leaves, flowers, or green coloring matter. Would you wish to see some examples?
Yes.
Here is an example. Which plant is that?
Mushroom.
That one.
Toadstool.
This one.
Puff balls.
This one.
Mold.
Yes. If you happen to store blood for quite some time, it develops some hairy plants known as mold, as the one you can see here. Examples of small fungi. Some fungi are small. They are not as large as the ones that you have seen previously. So the first one is
Yeast. Penicillium.
Penicillium. Repeat after me, penicillium.
Penicillium.
Yes, let us look at useful fungi because all fungi are not harmful. Some fungi are very useful. For example, we have
Edible mushrooms. Edible mushrooms.
Yes, these mushrooms are edible. We also have
Yeast.
Bread, they are made through baking. They are made through
Baking.
Then we say to prepare them, yeast is used to place the dough in baking. The yeast is also used in the brewing of wine and beer to make the mixture that make wine and beer ferment and make it alcoholic. Did you know that?
No.
Penicillium is also a very important fungi because in generally they are known as blue or
green mold.
they are economically very important to us because they are used in the production of cheese. They're also used in the production of organic acids and antibiotics, curative medicine, and they play a very important role, what we call a vital role as decomposers. They make substance to decay fast. So beside the economic uses, they are also good decomposers. Are we together? They help
Yes.
things to rot fast. Decomposition is the process of rotting. Here are some examples of
Harmful fungi.
one. They should be handled with care because they cause health effects to human body or skin. Mostly those fungi that grow in human body, either on the surface of the skin or inside the body. Always avoid sharing personal items. Some diseases are caused by fungi.
Wow.
This is a dirty food. This is a dirty food.
Food. Wow.
Which one is this?
Lemon.
Then we also have degrad.
Dara.
This is how they affect.
Oh.
They affect human skin as you have seen, okay?
Subscribe.
Also,
Share.
at the same time,
Like.
and drop your
Comment.
work well done.